Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into a literal game changer, a complete paradigm shift in how we measure human impact. For decades, we've measured success by looking at personal skills, maybe quarterly profits, or just how efficiently an organization runs. But what happens when we zoom out? What actually happens when we measure the ripple effects our actions have on the real world around us? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack today, guided by the foundational charter of the International Society for Social Performance, or ISSP. This is the huge, transformative question that sits right at the heart of the ISSP charter. Take a second to really think about it. People and companies, we don't operate in a vacuum, right? So we really have to ask ourselves why we're still measuring success as if we do. You just don't create value in total isolation. Cities, communities, nations, they constantly influence and are influenced by the behavior and the institutions of the people within them. When you get right down to it, all human performance is social performance. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to trace the evolution of performance, define societal performance, map out the architecture of impact, take a look at the existing ecosystem, and then finally, explore the vision for the future. Let's jump right into Section 1, the evolution of performance. It's fascinating to see how our focus has built up across 4 distinct generations. Back in Generation 1, we were really just looking at training. The big question was simply, how do we improve learning? Then we evolved into Generation 2, which was human performance technology, shifting our focus to, how do we improve individual and team performance? By Generation 3, we zoomed out again to organizational performance, asking, how do we improve strategic results for the whole company? But now we've arrived at Generation 4, societal performance. This is a massive leap. We're going from those early, simpler questions all the way up to asking, how do we actually improve the quality of life and the societal results created by human action? And the ISSP is designed to be the professional home for this exact 4th generation. Moving right along to Section 2, defining societal performance. Here is the crux of the whole thing. Societal performance evaluates the actual, measurable net value added or subtracted to the world by our actions. And I want to really highlight that phrase, added or subtracted. It's a reality check acknowledging that human and organizational actions can destroy societal value just as easily as they create it. We're talking about things like community displacement, environmental pollution, unethical labor practices. We're finally looking past the bottom line of a corporate balance sheet to see the net impact on families, cities, and society as a whole. This really illustrates the contrast perfectly. For years, the traditional approach was all about tracking resources, monitoring daily activities, checking those compliance boxes, and basically just celebrating good intentions. But the societal performance approach totally flips the script. We are moving away from just tracking effort and demanding rigorous, measurable societal results. It asks the tough questions. Did life actually get better? Was net value actually created? Now, a rigorous approach like this didn't just appear out of thin air. It has deep intellectual roots, specifically in the groundbreaking work of 2 pioneers. First, you have Roger Kaufman, who expanded the profession through mega-planning, which is essentially looking at big picture societal impact. He argued that organizations have to be evaluated by the value they create for society, not just their internal outputs. And second, Mariano Barnedez, who brought us highly practical frameworks like nanoeconomics, looking at economics from the ground up, starting with community-level actions. Together, they laid the bedrock for tying individual, organizational, and societal performance into one cohesive system. So, how is this actually structured? That brings us to Section 3, the architecture of impact. The ISSP framework essentially operates on 3 concrete dimensions at the exact same time. First, you've got the interpersonal dimension. This measures the relationships that either build up or tear down trust, bonding, and social capital. Second is the institutional dimension, which looks at the rules, both formal and informal, that shape behavior. Think ethics, governments, the rule of law. And third, the organizational dimension, focusing on how we mobilize resources through productivity, financial performance, and strategic execution. The big takeaway here, to truly measure societal impact, you literally have to measure relationships, formal rules, and resource allocation all at once. And those 3 dimensions, they get applied across 3 telescoping levels of performance. They nest right inside each other like Russian dolls. At the very core, we have individual social performance, or ISP, looking at personal ethics and social intelligence. Because, sustainable improvement has to start with individual behavior. Zoom out a layer, and we hit organizational social performance, OSP.
This is super interesting because it pushes past traditional business metrics, making corporate social responsibility and ESG scores directly into employee well-being and value creation. Finally, we zoom all the way out to the societal level: community, city, and country performance. This evaluates how well entire nations create the conditions for human flourishing, looking at metrics like poverty, crime, and economic freedom to create one balanced social performance score.
Why is this architecture so absolutely crucial? Because right now, our world is trapped in fragmented silos. Think about it. Psychologists study individuals, management consultants hyper-focus on organizations, public policy experts look at institutions, ESG analysts just check corporate compliance, urban planners focus on cities. We are constantly trying to solve deeply interconnected societal problems with completely disconnected tools. The ISSP finally provides one integrated framework to connect all of these disciplines so we can approach human flourishing holistically. Which leads us to Section 4, the existing ecosystem. Now, if this is sounding a bit like a utopian pipe dream, you might be surprised to learn that ISSP is not starting from scratch. Far from it. This international community has been growing and formalizing for over 25 years. It kicked off back in 1998 with the Performance Improvement Global Network. Then in 2014, they established the Roger Kaufman Award to actually recognize organizations putting these principles into practice. And fast forward to 2021, the C.K. Prahalad Award was created to honor social innovation specifically among underserved populations. Beyond just timeline milestones, this ecosystem has some seriously robust foundations in place right now. You've got the Kaufman Center acting as the principal think tank. You have the Social and Organizational Performance Review, which is a peer-reviewed scholarly journal getting the vital research out there. And my personal favorite, you have city doctors, actual practitioners using structured methodologies to provide measurable interventions and long-term metrics right down at the local city and neighborhood levels. These are the vital organs of the movement, keeping it grounded in real science and practical execution. Let's bring it all home with Section 5, A Vision for the Future. The ISSP's endgame isn't just to sit around and study social problems. It's to develop hard, measurable methods for fixing them. Their strategic goal is to do for societal performance exactly what past organizations did for individual human performance. They want to make societal performance, social innovation, and city transformation a universally recognized, deeply rigorous field of scientific practice. They are pushing for a future where governments and companies systematically measure the value they add to society just as routinely and just as strictly as they measure their financial profits. Their organizational motto really hits the nail on the head. Improving performance, improving lives, improving society. It perfectly captures the telescoping nature of the whole framework. It's a reminder that every level of improvement is deeply connected. When you improve performance at the individual or the organizational level using the right metrics, you inevitably improve individual lives, which naturally elevates society as a whole. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to take this massive global concept and bring it right down to your level. What is the net societal value created by your actions today? Seriously, think about your organization, your community, your daily role. Are you just tracking activities and good intentions? Or are you actively measuring and improving the real value you create for the world around you? Thanks so much for joining me today, and I challenge you to start viewing your own performance through the lens of societal impact.